the president of Earth University here in Costa Rica. I'm currently, this is for you, Mariano, because you are Maria Julia and Alma. I'm currently the chair of the University Global Coalition, and we are getting, this SDG Action and Awareness Week started. So we wanted to have a kickoff session in which we frame what our aspirations are for the week, and what our intentions and aspirations in getting the University Global Coalition started now 7 years. 7 years ago. This is the 5th anniversary of the Action and Awareness Week. And the idea is to use this week-long platform, with dozens of events in different universities around the world, to bring visibility to the things we're doing, to the things we're thinking, hopefully to connect more. In this case, we're connecting people who are already somewhat connected, but still. Welcome, Drew. It's wonderful to have you here. The idea is to have a global reach that through universities we can achieve. And in this particular event, this 5th anniversary, we have the UNAI, the United Nations Academic Impact, as a co-sponsor of this week. We strongly believe, and that was the beginning of UGC, but obviously also at the heart of UNAI, that nobody can change the world alone. And it seems obvious, but what is not obvious is that we are collaborating at the scale that we need for that, global impact to happen. And so the idea is to connect about 190 institutions who are members of this network, UGC, or at least signatories of the compact. A few dozens are active, and then 1,600 institutions in UNAI. And the idea is that we connect, and hopefully more collaboration will occur. So let me start the actual program with, and welcome, Coletta, wonderful to see you here, with a video from Mr. Maher Nasser, who is the director of the Outreach Division of the United Nations Department of Global Communications, about UNAI.
There is no sound.
Exactly.
Okay. I think you need to stop sharing and then share again, and there's the option of sharing with audio.
Action and Awareness Week 2026.
Now?
Yes, can you go back to the beginning, please? Perfect. Thank you.
Greetings from the United Nations and welcome to the SDG Action and Awareness Week 2026. My name is Maher Nasser. I'm the director of the Outreach Division in the United Nations Department of Global Communications, home to the UN Academic Impact, UNAI. We connect universities to the UN Charter and the Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you to our United Nations Academic Impact SDG 2 Hub co-chairs, Earth University in Costa Rica, UC Davis in the United States, and University Global Coalition Tecnológico de Monterrey, based in Mexico, and to all of the campuses mobilizing worldwide as part of the 2026 SDG Awareness Week. The Sustainable Development Goals are needed now more than ever. With only 4 years remaining until 2030, just 35% of the Sustainable Development Goal targets are on track. Clearly, half are progressing too slowly and several are moving in reverse. These indicators are an incentive to do more, not less. The SDGs place people at the center of global action. The SDGs affirm a simple promise that no one's place of birth should determine their safety, the quality of their education, or the access that they have to clean water, clean air, and a sustainable and prosperous future. I have served with the United Nations for over 38 years in Gaza, Jerusalem, Amman, Cairo, Dubai, Vienna, Osaka, and New York. I have seen with my own eyes examples of water scarcity, flooding, and how fragile peace and hope can be. For many, the Sustainable Development Goals mark the line between stability and collapse, and between opportunity and mere survival. Without public awareness and support, political will, financing, and implementation falter. We risk reaching 2030 with critical promises unmet. This is where higher education can play a truly indispensable role. Universities are uniquely positioned to confront today's pressing global challenges, from climate change to inequality, from technological disruption to the threats of peace. When universities actively engage with the Sustainable Development Goals, they accelerate solutions locally and globally, turning research into policy, data into direction, and learning into leadership. How can we translate the SDGs into concrete decisions, skills, and solutions? Your research and leadership can give direction beyond awareness. As someone who finished 3 marathons, I know that the final miles can test our resolve. As we run the final miles of the SDG marathon, let us not only persevere, we must accelerate and support one another to reach the finish. Before this week concludes, I encourage each and every one of you to commit to one measurable action by 2027, whether a partnership, a reform, a new initiative, or a scalable innovation. And to the young people, do not wait. Take your seat at the table and bring your own chair if needed. You are the backbone of the 2030 Agenda, with the greatest stake in the future of our planet. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nasser. And your words could not be truer. They remind us that, of course, that we need to put people. People are at the center of sustainable development. And we universities have, of course, a unique role where spaces where knowledge is created, where values are shaped or reinforced, where innovation is tested. And we're preparing not only the next generation of leaders, but the current generation of leaders in every angle of our activity. We can accelerate solutions, as Mr. Nasser mentioned, words included, both locally and globally. And I love to invite now my dear friend Joanna Regulska, Vice-Provost of the University of California, Davis, and Professor of Gender, Sexuality, and Women's Studies, and a steering committee member for the University Global Coalition, to share with us what her vision is of how the role of universities and their potential in advancing the 2030 Agenda. How should we think about this, and what should we do? One comment I have about Mr. Nasser's words is that he mentioned Awareness Week, which was how this week was known in the past, but we added Action and Awareness Week. The idea is that this week actually is a catalyzer to more action, more collaborative action. Joanna, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Arturo, and welcome to all of you who join us, and feel that you are as committed as we are. And as Mr. Nasser pointed out, accelerating is the word really that we need to deeply engage with, think about, embrace, and translate into the action. It is true that 2030 is just around the corner, and we have plenty of work to do. And the beauty of Sustainable Development Goals are that everybody can do something. There is nothing that prevents each of us. It is not about resources. It is not about who we are and what position economically, socially, politically we have. It is about us as a citizen, global citizens, and a commitment that we have to making this world better. Mr. Nasser mentioned how fragile things are, how easy it is to pull out of policies and commitments, how fragile peace is. All of this means that our action is even more important. But I think something that I do want to underscore is that shared global commitments are indeed very important these days. And I want to stress the word shared. It's not about individual, it's about all of us. The biggest risk we face globally across the borders and institutional silos is precisely that we don't share. And we need to find ways to work together to solve our challenges. Anchoring our work in a shared commitment guide us in a common strategic direction. The universal principles that are embedded in SDGs are extremely important. Leave no one behind. Human rights, gender equality. These all are globally recognized and they transcend other differences and borders. The majority of member states around the world are prioritizing this agenda in policies and planning. And as it was already mentioned, more than 190 countries are involved. And for example, they completed volunteer national reviews. And more than 200 cities around the world have completed voluntary reviews. These are mechanisms that we can use to engage our communities that we live in. So this agenda resonates and is taken seriously worldwide. I want to underscore that higher education has a unique role in advancing this agenda. Academia should be in the global conversation about these issues. So in addition to our collaboration with higher education institutions, it's really important that we engage with multilateral institutions like UN, non-governmental organizations that are working in our communities, private sector that contributes and in many ways engages with us. So we want to leverage our unique knowledge and strength, and that is extremely important, that multi-dimensional, multi-diversity of groups and people that we can bring together. The implementation of Sustainable Development Goals requires collaboration, interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary approach, and such strategies result in building bridges across cultures, countries, ideologies, religion, creating collaborative community across the world. But at the same time, SDGs required many different layers of partnerships. And I think this is something very important to acknowledge and embrace, because the partners work together through their own network, through their own consortia. So in a certain way, we multiply partners as a way to bring together our perspectives, knowledge, and commitments to local communities. So I just want to end with talking about, for a minute, consortium that we have created. And that is consortium around Sustainable Development Goal number 2 that brings colleagues from Costa Rica, US, Canada, Brazil, UK, South Africa, and Ghana. It is a way for bringing expert colleagues together to discuss what we can do, to commit together, to think about the food, nutrition, the implication of climate. Zero hunger is the focal point of SDG 2. And we do want to make sure that the communities around the world are not suffering from lack of food. We around the world are producing enormous amount of food, but a lot of food is getting wasted day by day. We shop too many, we throw away, we're going to the events, there is a food left over, the distribution of the food might not be equal enough and good enough, and food gets wasted. So one way we can actually commit ourselves this week is to think about not to shop too much for food, share the food we have with others, and make sure that everybody have access to food on our campuses and our communities. I want to thank you again for joining us today, and I look forward to the week of discussion, commitments, and friendships and partnerships. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Joanna. And it's a pleasure to hear you, and of course, has been a pleasure to be your partner in these efforts since the beginning. And thank you for mentioning the SDG2 consortium. I mean, and the hub. Actually, we have joined forces for the purpose of synergies and achieving more impact. I'm with you, of course, in everything you said. I'm particularly moved by the focus on the final impact, right? If we keep in our minds and in our hearts that this is about literally zero hunger for billions of people, because that's the final goal, I think we should be more motivated to act every day and to do the things we need to do. Thank you for your words. It's a powerful example of how collaboration among universities can generate new learning, can support each other, and make concrete progress. I will mention a couple of things about the SDG2 consortium later on as well. But let me switch to a message from another close friend and champion of global higher education, Angel Cabrera. He's the 12th president of Georgia Tech and co-founder of the University Global Coalition.
Good morning and welcome to the 5th edition of SDG Action and Awareness Week. My name is Angel Cabrera, president of Georgia Tech. Almost 7 years ago, a small group of university leaders gathered at the Rockefeller Foundation's conference center in Bellagio, Italy, a place where for almost half of a century, some very consequential ideas have taken shape. We came together with a conviction that universities have both the capacity but also the responsibility to help the world achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. From that gathering, the University Global Coalition was born. I mentioned Bellagio not simply as a point of origin, but because that setting reminding us of something quite important, that the greatest challenges facing humanity have always required bringing together diverse perspectives, sustained commitment, and the willingness to move from discussion to action. In that spirit, continues to animate everything we do. We asked ourselves how university networks can accelerate progress towards the SDGs in ways that individual institutions cannot achieve alone. The answer lies in understanding the nature of the challenges we face. Climate change does not respect national borders. Pandemic preparedness requires global coordination. Food security, clean water, quality education. These are not problems of any single institution or region of the world, even a nation. We cannot solve these things in isolation. When universities come together in networks like the UGC, we create something greater than the sum of our parts. We can mobilize research capacity across continents. We can share best practices almost immediately. We can train students who understand that the problems they will face in their careers are fundamentally global in scope. Consider what becomes possible. A research team in Sao Paulo can collaborate with colleagues in Singapore or Stockholm to address a challenge that affects communities in sub-Saharan Africa. Students from universities across the coalition can work together on real-world projects, learning not just technical skills, but the cultural competencies that are essential for global problem solving. No single institution, no matter how well-resourced, can replicate that kind of reach or that diversity of perspective. And by working together, we can also share best practices and inspire one another to do better. Why should we care about universities in addressing these very big challenges that we face? Simply put, without the leaders who can navigate complexity, who understand that the 17 SDGs are deeply interconnected, and who possess both the technical expertise but also the ethical grounding to make decisions that will shape our future, there's no hope we can be successful. So, for example, at Georgia Tech, we've tried to embed this commitment into much of what we do in education, in research, and in service to our community. We've worked to embed content that is relevant to the SDGs in courses across all 6 of our colleges, from material science to aerospace engineering, from economics to computational media, trying to shape how we teach future engineers, future scientists, and business leaders. And we're using our own campus as a learning laboratory. Take, for example, we just built a few years ago a new building, the Candida building, for Innovative Sustainable Design, which is the first building in the Southeast to earn the Living Building Challenge certification, and only one of only 28 or 30 in the world. This building generates more energy than it consumes. It processes its own water, treats all of its wastewater on site. Most importantly, it helps students not just learn about sustainability in the abstract, they experience regenerative design in action. So thousands of students pass through the building every semester, and they will carry those values into their careers as engineers, architects, scientists, whatever they decide to do. So what makes me most hopeful about our future is how our students have embraced this mission as their own. Our Engineers Without Borders chapter partners with communities around the globe in Nepal, Bolivia, Ecuador, and right here in Atlanta. This year, students travel to a mountainous region of Nepal where women spend much of their day walking long distances to fetch water. So our students listen first, then design a sustainable water supply system, and will serve 200, that would serve about 200 households. As one student put it, good engineering starts with understanding the people you're building for. And closer to home, same students are working with Deerwood Academy, a elementary school in West Atlanta that serves food insecure students. They're building a greenhouse, developing a STEM education program, providing hands-on learning while bringing fresh produce to a neighborhood in a food desert. This is SDG 2, Zero Hunger, and SDG 4, Quality Education, coming to life in our own backyard. And in our global development capstone courses, interdisciplinary teams tackle challenges spanning from affordable energy, clean water, gender equality, climate action, presenting their solutions to our annual Ideas to Serve competition. Of course, networks and coalitions are only as effective as the actions they enable. Too often, international collaborations remain at the level of memoranda of understanding, impressive documents that sit in filing cabinets, while the urgent work remains undone. My hope for UGC is that we try to be specific about our goals. The SDGs provide a framework, but we need to identify concrete targets that we collectively can pursue. Second, I hope we can create structures that support sustained engagement, not just the annual conference, but ongoing working groups and joint research initiatives, student exchange programs, etc. And third, we need to hold ourselves accountable. That means ensuring our progress, measuring our progress, sharing our successes and our failures, honestly, and try to find ways to do better. And for all of this, we need to engage our students as partners, not as passive recipients. They're really at the heart of what we do, and they bring a lot to this task. So here's my hope for the 5th edition of SDG Action and Awareness Week. My hope is threefold. First, I hope we see more universities joining this movement, not just as an add-on, but really taking real, making this a central part of their mission. Second, I hope we develop models of collaboration that can be replicated and scaled, and that we can demonstrate to the broader world that collective action among universities is not an aspiration, it's actually real. And third, I hope we inspire a generation of students to see themselves as agents of change. That's what we're here about. We're now past the midpoint of the 2030 agenda. The urgency is real, but so is the opportunity. Universities have driven human progress for centuries. The challenges before us are immense, but I'm confident that working together, as we are doing through the University Global Coalition, we can make a meaningful difference. So thank you for your commitment to this work, and I look forward to all that we will accomplish together. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Angel, for those words. And he's traveling right now, and so that's why he couldn't join us in person. But his words, of course, are right on point in reminding us the power of collaboration and networks. I love the example about the candidate building at Georgia Tech and how through the actual physical asset or physical, infrastructure, they can involve and are involved in students through a more immersive experience to strengthen their learning. And I love the word values, right? Because what you live every day becomes a habit, and over time becomes a value. It has been my honor to succeed President Cabrera as the chair of the UGC, especially as we celebrate our 5th anniversary of this incredible initiative, the Action and Awareness Week. And it is my pleasure now to turn to the co-lead of the SDG Action and Awareness Week, Karina Ruiz from Tec de Monterrey. Tec de Monterrey has been a major driving force behind a number of initiatives in UGC and across the global goals. She serves as a strategic partnership lead at the university and has been involved in SDG Action and Awareness Week, before now Awareness Week, since the very, very beginning. So it's an honor to have you here, Karina. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Arturo, and nice to see you all. As you have mentioned, this is our 5th time participating and collaborating in the SDG Action and Awareness Week. And for Tec de Monterrey, it has been an honor to be part not only of this week, but also as to be part of the University Global Coalitions, because we firmly believe on the power of collaboration and working together to advance the SDGs. As the previous presentators have mentioned, we are in a certainly difficult moment, regionally, worldwide. The international and in particularly as well in Mexico, the national contexts are urgent, are not as hopeful as we wanted to be. And considering that according to the UN Sustainable Development Network and the United Nations Development Report, if we keep on this track for 2030, only 17% of the SDGs goals, targets will be achieved. So the panorama for the upcoming years is quite challenging. But as my previous presenters have mentioned, we need to take also this opportunity to strengthen our collaborations. As Joanna mentioned, we need to take advantage of the power and the role of universities, of institutions of higher education. We are a key actor in the international sphere, where we can converge and we can bring together different sectors, governments. We can bring together private sector actors that in other moments or in other topics, they don't get along. The safe spaces that universities and higher institutions offer to bring together different ideas, different opinions, we need to take advantage of that. In the case of Tecnológico de Monterrey, as we have mentioned, we are promoting international collaboration, international and multilateral partnerships, multi-stakeholder partnerships in climate action and sustainability. As part of this commitment, as you may know, in 2021, we launched our Sustainability and Climate Change Plan, which turned 5 years in 2026. And with this institutional plan, what we wanted to do was to set the base, to set the architecture for our institution to be a role model institution in sustainability. After 5 years of working, we can now proudly say that this is not only a plan, but is the Tec way of life, the Tec way of doing things. We are continuously working and innovating in different areas such as education, adaptation, mitigation measures, research, engagement, to make sure that sustainability is part of our everyday activities. And as part of these commitments, we can mention that we are continuously working with different sectors, with different actors, but also with our students. We are continuously engaging our students to be part of this way of life, because as you have mentioned, Arturo, we are not only forming and educating the future leaders, but current leaders. And I think I want to end my initial intervention with this. Students are key actors in our in our commitment of achieving the SDGs, but also in achieving a sustainable world. In the case of Tec de Monterrey, we are proud to mention that we have been engaging our students. We have a student committee of Ruta Azul, Blue Route, our sustainability plan, which has formed more than nearly 200 students in 4 generations that will be the leaders in sustainability within their campuses. But we are not only focused on these 184 students, we are trying to reach more students through education, through the adjustment of our academic plans to incorporate sustainability in all the courses offered. But we are also engaging other partners in being partners in our educational plans. So what we want to do is empower more our students, and we are happy to be part of this SDG week. Tec de Monterrey is hosting 5 events this year, and half of them, 3 events, are led by students. So this is one of our examples, and we want to invite everyone to take this opportunity to continue spreading the awareness on the SDGs, but also to commit with the SDGs every day. So thank you, Arturo, and I'm pleased to be part of this event.
Thank you so much, Karina. And of course, Tecnológico Monterrey is just a powerhouse of universities in Latin America. Probably is the best known university, for sure, one of the leading ones in every front. And I've always admired its focus on impact and what you described, the focus on students. And I applaud with you. I'm not as apt as Joanna is in using the emotions or the reactions. But I was applauding from in mute. I was applauding as well. I want to add a few words of what we at Earth University do as well, right? We are small and focused on food production and food systems, which is why Zero Hunger, of course, fits exactly in front of us. Everything is connected, as Angel mentioned before, but clearly that is our focus since our foundation, and the engineering approach that you described, Karina, the engineering approach that Angel described in terms of the building and other initiatives, I think we believe strongly that that's the best way to learn. The learning by doing, right? When students are involved in something concrete and beyond just the theory, which is necessary, science and knowledge is necessary, but it's a means to an end. It's a means to enabling young people and anyone to be able to do things, to develop skills. And when we have the awareness of the values we instill, whether with intention or maybe without meaning to, how we frame their experience with us, universities, is key. And we are very intentional on that, the learning by doing. You haven't been, Karina, but you're invited to. I hope you visit us one day. Joanna has. And the living every day, what you described for these few hundred people already, students who are leading, because it's not only the 200 and some, is that they are leading in their campuses. I mean, that's value creating, that's value consolidation, if we want to use a word like that. We strongly believe also in the power of students. UNESCO estimates that there are more than 260 million university students right now in the world, right? And that is an extraordinary, or can be an extraordinary force for transformation if we connect their learning to the SDGs, if we create awareness. This is what this week is all about. If we give them more opportunities to collaborate, right? And we at the University Global Coalition, we are, I think, the perfect spot to facilitate that. It takes resources, it takes time, maybe the most precious resource of all. But it can be done, and I think if we empower them to use the knowledge that they acquire in real context and in real life situations, with that spirit is also that we started the SDG 2 consortium, UC Davis, University of California, Davis, and Earth, now 6 years ago in 2020, and now in a consortium that now includes 7 universities. In the past 2 years and a half, we've been working together in designing a new master's program on food system leadership, for instance, that at Earth we're committed to starting, but the whole 7 universities are committed to participate through a collaborative course. These are new ways of combining our talents, combining our strengths, combining our perspectives. These are 7 universities from around the world, and as Joanna mentioned, it is in that spirit, and as she mentioned, it is in the spirit of making sure that everyone has access to the food we all need, right? With dignity. It's not only about making food available anyway. I think it's also making sure that it's a life of dignity that is lived everywhere in the world. And of course, the SDGs are a lot about that. So with that intro, let me bring you both of you to the forefront and to the digital forefront, and maybe start a conversation. Let me start with what we all mentioned, and that to us is very important: students, right? And so let me ask you, in Davis, in California, in Monterrey, and the 30 plus campuses you have all across the La República Mexicana, how are you engaging students, and how could we all engage further, right? I mean, we're already doing something, but I think 260 million plus universities. How can we engage them further so that we can, take the power of this, the energy of these young humans? And Joanna, you are unmuted, so why don't you go first?
All right. Thank you, Arturo. I think it was already mentioned, but I just wanted to underscore one more time that the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals and SDGs really resonate with students around the world. And it's amazing how students want to learn, to collaborate, to take action. They are fully aware that their future depends so much of how they engage. So there is a sense already of responsibility. I would say probably far more greater sense of responsibility than some of our world leaders. They understand that if action is not taken place, their quality of life is endangered. So this is something that we all need to keep in mind. And when you look at the 2030 Agenda, youth are recognized multiple times. So the importance of that meaningful youth engagement has been actually even elevated more in the Pact for the Future in 2024, which includes very specific focus on youth and future generation. So what do we do and what can we do? So at UC Davis, we done some of the work around the voluntary local reviews, voluntary university reviews, and our students are involved. Our students are partners in it. Our students are gathering information. They are doing analysis. They are producing already the sense of knowledge that exists and the commitment that already exists but might not be well known to others. We have established an internship program for the undergraduate students that focus specifically on SDGs. So we also incorporate the SDGs into the fellowships, into the certificate programs, into study abroad, in partnerships with many faculty and staff. In fact, Karina is here, and one of the ways we incorporated SDGs by including them with the Monterrey in the research grants programs. So our joint research grant programs includes SDGs, and the faculty who are applying have to specify which SDGs they're going to address. But the students are also involved in those programs. We are making sure that the students also participate in the local community. So let me give you two examples, very specific. One is we have incorporated SDGs into a program called Global Impact Fellows, which was created here on our campus. And in this program, students develop projects at the campus community or at international level. As a result of their engagement, a group of students are planning, for example, SDG symposium for students at UC Davis. They have identified a gap in students' awareness and want to find a way to bring students together from across this discipline. So remember, I was talking earlier about transdisciplinary, interdisciplinary programs to start really working together with the agenda. The other example, so this is an example within the campus, but then outside of the campus, these SDG interns are working closely with the city of Sacramento. The city of Sacramento is the capital of California, to connect the SDGs and best practices from global sharing on SDG to the long-range planning priorities for the city. So this is obviously a long bridge that we want to make sure that students are participating in. And the interns are working with the Sacramento Youth Commission to share the SDGs and how they could apply to those students work within their communities. So actually, these SDG interns will be hosting an event tomorrow, Tuesday, for Action and Awareness Week with a couple of Sacramento Youth Commission members and Earth Universities and Mount Kenya University to discuss how they are working with the communities toward the implementation of SDGs and creating awareness. Let me stop here and give it to Karina.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anna. Go ahead, Karina.
Thank you, Joanna. Thank you, Arturo. And I think I totally agree with what Joanna has mentioned. And I think that we need, as universities, we need to change our focus and turn the students from participants to leaders, to protagonists of all the actions that we are doing in universities. We need to give legitimacy to their actions and to empower them to make sure that they truly become those leaders that we are working and trying to educate them and to form them. As we have mentioned at Tec de Monterrey, currently we have nearly 90,000 students in our 20 campuses throughout Mexico. So it's quite challenging for us, for a big institution as Tec de Monterrey, to try to engage as much as we want students. But we recognize the role of students, as I have mentioned before. They are critical thinkers, they are agents of change, they have a lot of new ideas, they are innovators, they are natural leaders. So we need to take advantage of these characteristics from our students and try to engage them more in different areas and different activities. So as I have mentioned before, we are closely working within Ruta Azul with this group of students that are part of the student committee of Ruta Azul. And our idea is to contribute to their engagement within their campuses. We are empowering them to have a place and to have a where they can sit with leaders within their campuses to discuss and to try to generate solutions on sustainable challenges that they face within their campuses. We are also, as I have mentioned, been working on engaging our students in different activities. For example, in 2024, we launched our Sustainable Development Report, which has a broad mapping of all the initiatives that Tec de Monterrey has been carry out in sustainability matters. And we are excited to identify that Nearly a little bit more than 103,000 students engaged in these activities. They were the population from our community with more engagement in these initiatives. And as Joanna has mentioned, we are also actively engaging our students with the community. We need to give back to our communities, especially where Tecno Monterrey has presence. So as part of our legal requirements in Mexico to graduate, the students need to take and to participate in social services, community services. And we are engaging our students to participate in these activities, and all the initiatives have to have a sustainable focus. They have to be dedicated or have to be working with one SDG, at least one SDG. And also our volunteering programs are dedicated and are aligned with the SDGs. So what we are trying to do is bring together the students with the communities, try to solve different challenges on sustainability matters, but also in the classroom, we are engaging them with trying to align our courses with the SDGs, to engage social partners, enterprises partners, and government partners to engage with students within our classrooms, and also to generate solutions on sustainability challenges. It hasn't been easy. We know that we have a lot of work to do ahead of us, but we are committed as an institution in Mexico to continue promoting and continue engaging and empowering our students. So we are taking part of different initiatives. We are also hosting the SDSN Youth Chapter in Mexico. So as Tecno Monterrey, but also as Mexican universities, we are trying to engage as much as possible our students in different activities.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Karina. And of course, in a way, we're preaching to the choir here. I mean, everyone connected today here is here because we're involved. But we're also recording this. And part of this is creating, it's about creating a library of resources that we started some years ago. And although we're few, at least we are very committed. And I think with what Joanna and you shared, I mean, clearly our commitment is real and practical. It's not only on paper. It's what I'm thinking. Same thing happens here at Earth, right? I mean, for the purpose of the academic program, we created something called the Community Development Program around campus. We're rural, so we're surrounded by rural communities with all, diverse set of challenges that they face. And over the years, this is part of a students training. And over the years, they not only are part of the projects, they lead the projects when they're in the last year of the undergrad. And it's everything you said, Karina. They're ready to lead. They're natural. We're all natural leaders. Have the opportunity to be. If we're given the opportunity, we have the potential of being leaders. We need to be allowed, and we need to be also guided to some extent, right? And we see it ourselves, and we have students from 40 countries here, and it's beautiful too. The mix is beautiful too, and you have a lot of foreign students actually at Tech. Still, the majority are Mexicans, but you have many, many, many friends. I never went to Tech, but many friends of mine from Ecuador went to Tec de Monterrey. Was clearly one of the greatest institutions in Latin America and in the world, I would argue. And so what comes to my mind when I hear you is how do we connect them more across, and we have, and you both describe things you're already doing, and we have done with the SDG2 consortium, the student, a small student competition, but with multi-university teams, and it has been fabulous to see them interact, collaborate, be incredibly creative. We're running out of time. I would like to ask one question on the two of you. You have led this for years. And in particular, you've led this within the SDG Awareness Week and University Global Coalition. What are the main challenges you're facing and in your universities, and how do we overcome? How do we, if for other universities that might be here or can listen later to this conversation, what would be your advice on how to mobilize resources within the university, right? And what do you need? What do we all need to get that going? Go either.
Okay, if you want, well, I think I'm gonna go because I need to run at 10 to the airport. But I think that, of course, and as we mentioned before, it's been quite challenging internationally, regionally, nationally, to continue promoting the SDGs, because there's a continuous feeling of despair, not only within the universities, within the students, but generally. As we have mentioned, the challenges, the COVID pandemic, political situations have been quite challenging recently. But we need to take the moment, and as Joanna mentioned before, this is the only opportunity we have to continue promoting the SDGs and continue advancing. There's no any other option. We cannot go back to before 2015. There's no other option that continue engaging and moving forward. What we have been doing at Tec de Monterrey is that we are also working on, and it's part of our sustainability and climate action plan, to center all our actions in culture. We need to continue promoting the culture of sustainability to really make those significant changes in the way we behave, on the way we think as a society, on our everyday actions. That's why we've been trying to dedicate of all of our actions to change the culture and to promote a more sustainable culture within our students, but also within our professors, faculty members, staff members, because that's the change we need to do. We need to change the way we think, the way we act, and the way we engage as a society. So I think that's part of the challenge we have as a whole, as institutions, to make sure that every action that we do, every step that we take, it is a decisive step forward sustainability. Of course, the challenge we have ahead and the road is quite steep, but we need to trust. We need to trust on the goodwill. And as you, Arturo, has mentioned, I know I'm preaching the core. So that's why I'm raising this plea to the core to continue engaging. Do not fall in this despair that we are feeling. We need to take this opportunity to continue moving forward and to continue engaging our students, continue engaging among us. Tec de Monterrey has been part of the University Global Coalition, but we are also part of different regional, national, and international networks. So we are taking this challenge and this commitment as a personal matter for us, and we are committed to moving forward towards sustainability and a better world for everyone.
Thank you so much, Karina, and have a safe flight when you have to leave. Joanna, what are the challenges you face? How have you overcome them, or what's your idea of how to overcome them in what's coming?
I know that we have 1 minute left, so I'm gonna try to be short. But I think the key is that institutions of higher education are very slow in changing and moving. So one of the key elements is actually to think and move beyond piecemeal approach. All of us are doing a lot, but at the same time, we are not aligning ourselves with what's happening on our campuses, how we can have a more comprehensive approach. One of the critical area is faculty support. And that support is critical, and it can take many different ways. A lot of times, like we did at UC Davis, we established successful grant program for faculty to engage with SDGs. I mentioned the grants program where we're putting the SDGs as a core of collaboration. But we also might want to look at the tenure promotion processes. Faculty needs to know that we are committed, and that means that the work that they are doing on SDGs and international engagement actually counts. So we need to create incentives for faculty to engage with SDGs. Curricular innovation, another very promising area for change. SDG should be central part of the curriculum. But in order to get to that, we actually need to educate faculty and we need to provide training. So as at UC Davis, we created a Teaching for Global Learning, which brings together cohorts of faculty members and allows them from different disciplines and allows them to learn and practice how to integrate SDGs into this process. So there are many ways, but we need to think more comprehensively because students are far more advanced for a lot of ways than the staff and faculty are. And I
Thank
put our link to our website.
saw that. Thank you so much. And indeed, we're kind of over time. Maybe just add three thoughts. One, as everyone said, we cannot be ivory towers, right? We cannot be out there in the hill. No, we need to be in our communities. All of us are in this call for sure. But we need more of that. That's number one. Number two, we are the perfect player to bring multi-stakeholders from all around our communities and the world. And that's what we're trying to do with this week, with UGC, with all these networks, as you said, Karina. And the third is students, to be honest. I mean, that's where the power, the emotional power of this generation lies. And so I think we can be good stewards of that energy. And I know, again, we're preaching to the choir. So thank you so much for being here, Joanna and Karina and Angel and Mr. Nasser. But for everyone here connected or watching this later, I hope everyone has a great week and we can find many things to do together for this year and the next. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you very much and have a nice week. And
Let's
take advantage of and continue spreading the awareness on the SDGs.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.